Hey guys, Courtne Marland here, and in this quick video, I'm going to answer the number one question that I get all the time, which is essentially, if I wanted to, how would I go about launching a SaaS ASAP as soon as possible? Whether you have technical knowledge or no technical knowledge, whether you know how to code or you don't know how to code, I'm just going to give you a no bullshit guide that I've whipped together super quickly, doing exactly what I think you should do if I was to start again. I'm also then going to show you a real life example from my own SaaS product, and also then give you some case studies from companies that are not my own. And I'm also going to give you the exact walkthrough in terms of how to actually execute on this process that I'm about to give to you. And with that being said, let's just jump straight into it. Right, so the first thing that I want to say is when someone asks me, how do I launch a SaaS ASAP? Immediately, it's not about the technical stuff of how to actually go about launching a product or how to design a product. It's basically a lack of clarity in terms of what the process is. Right? We all know that there's an entire process in itself to designing a product and coming up with a product, etc., etc. I'm not going to focus on that here. What I'm going to do is just really answer the question to what is the first step, because I think that is the thing that people struggle with the most. Is not the process, it's just the first part of it. All right, and that's what I'm going to talk about here. So the first part, I kid you not, should take 15 minutes. If it takes you more than 15 minutes to do this, you're moving too slowly. And speed when it comes to startups, specifically when it comes to SaaS, is literally the only thing that matters, because in the beginning, it's just about building momentum, right? Momentum is what drives a business, it's what drives growth, and it's what drives success forward. Right, so this literally following this process should take you 50 minutes. I am going to recommend a book as well. Obviously that take a bit longer, but really what we're about to go through should be about 50 minutes. Okay. And after those 50 minutes, you should be able to start talking to your customers and building things that they want. And literally in the beginning, speed is the only thing that matters. So again, people ask me, how do I launch a SaaS ASAP? And my answer is, well, to launch a SaaS, the only thing you need to be doing is figuring out how can I talk to my customers as quickly as possible, and then how can I speak to them as quickly as possible and build things that they actually want. Okay, that is the number one thing. So let's talk about the speed thing, because again, everything that I've just described is all about just building momentum, and momentum is obviously a component of speed. If you have speed and you have a lot of it very quickly, that enables you to drive a lot more momentum. Right, so how do we build this momentum? Essentially, to answer that question, we have to figure out, well, what outcomes drive momentum? And these are the four things that I think essentially are part of that building block. The first thing is you need to make a very quick decision on the name and the branding, okay? And again, like I have spoken a lot about how I think design is way more important than people give it credit for, and I'll tell you why. I think that in the beginning, when you're starting a SaaS or any business actually, it's very important that you are excited about it, because if you're not excited about it, how on earth are you going to get anyone else to be excited? Like when I look at this page, sure, this is, it's not a product. It's nothing yet. It's just a very simple landing page, but I already know, okay, if I think about simple payments, I know what the color is going to be. I know what the branding is going to be. I can see the look and the feel. If I show this to my mom, I'm sure she'll be super happy, right? Or she'll be like, wow, that's cool. If I show this to friends, they'll be like, this is interesting. I don't have a product yet. I don't have anything. There's no revenue model, like nothing. I just have a very quick page that realistically could have even been like a Google Doc, but at least now it's tangible versus me sitting saying, well, I have this idea and this and that, because everyone has an idea. But not many people even have a landing page that displays that idea. At least now it's got a look and a feel to it. You can sort of start getting excited about it, right? And again, this doesn't need to take a long time. It's just a quick decision on what the name is. You can always change it later. That doesn't really matter. And just branding, like what is the main color? Is it going to be super corporate, or is it going to be super playful and simple, right? That's just like super quick things to make decisions on. The next thing is you need to come up with a very quick feature list. What is this thing going to do? Now, again, I have spoken at length about the process of finding product market fit, and I made loads of videos of that on my channel. If you haven't seen them, subscribe and go have a look at them. But basically, the feature list that you start with doesn't actually matter, because the process of building a SaaS is all about consistently iterating your product and building what users want. And 99% of the time, your final product is completely different than your initial idea. Right? But that's good. That is how we approach agile development. And that's how you build products that truly work, because you build things that people want, not what you just thought about. Okay. However, in the beginning, you have to have somewhat of a vision for the product, because if you start with something, it's easy to change. But if you start with nothing, then, well, you have nothing, right? So a quick little feature list like this. Literally what I've done here is literally just 6 things, 6 features, and then a quick little description of it. And again, I'm not married to these features. If this is not in the final product, I don't care. It's just about painting an initial vision and then being willing to adjust it. Okay, so just coming up with a vision. The next way is you need to find a way to find prospects. So remember how I spoke about, again, if you were to recap this video, it's within 50 minutes of launching your SaaS, you should be able to start talking to customers and then building things that they want. So again, if you look at this, it's quick branding decision. So you know what you're actually building, you can get excited about it. And also, like, if you're going to talk to customers, if you're not excited about it yourself because you have nothing to show, how are you going to get them to be excited about it? Okay, so you need to think about that. And then you need to build things that they want. So we need to have somewhat of a vision, but we need to be able to change that vision to actually build things that they want. But this whole thing relies on actually finding prospects, like finding people to talk to. And that is a whole nother video in and of itself, which is like prospecting 101, which I'll make a video on. But let's just assume that you've already figured that out and you have a list of people's emails or contact numbers or whatever. You have a way to reach out to them. The next thing that you need to do is you need to come up with a clever way to get these people to have conversations with you. Because even if you have a list of people, that doesn't mean they're going to speak to you. And what I'm going to show you here is I'm literally going to show you behind the scenes of For Simple Payments, my SaaS, how I went about getting on conversations with users. And we'll talk about that in a second. Okay, now I just want to quickly summarize that if you look at all of these 4 points above, okay, a waiting list is the perfect solution. So we spoke about sort of the theory around how to launch a SaaS, right, as quickly as possible. Now what I want to do is take all that theory and just boil it down to something tangible. And that tangible thing is, the answer is launch a waiting list as quickly as possible. Okay, here's why. You cannot build a waiting list or a landing page like this, a website, if you don't make some design decisions. Like, the process of building a landing page is going to force you to decide, okay, what color am I going to make the buttons? What is the logo going to look like? Is the web page going to look super formal, or is it going to be super fun and vibey, right? So it forces you to make that initial decision. Next, anyone who joins shows that they have some willingness to chat. So assuming that you've already solved problem 3 and you already have solved the process of finding people, if they actually subscribe to a waiting list, it's sort of like them basically saying, I am willing to speak to you about this thing because I find it interesting. And a willingness is the start of a conversation, because if someone's not willing to talk to you, you can pull a million tricks in the book, they're still not going to talk to you. But if they are willing to do it, it's just about building a process to approach them and get them onto a call, which is what we're going to talk about in a little bit. And then the next thing is, when you actually do launch a tangible physical product that's working, having a waiting list is going to serve as a bit of a launch pad, okay? For when you actually launch, it's going to give you that initial traction. And also, if you are planning on raising capital and you go to investors with a waiting list and a sort of vision for the product, I guarantee you're going to have way easier time raising money than if you show up there with an idea, no waiting list, no brand, like nothing tangible. All right. Okay. So essentially, what we're going to do now for the rest of this video is we are going to solve this problem, and I'm going to show you how to build a waiting list in real life. And let's start off with the building blocks that are required. So the first thing to build a waiting list that's required is having a mock-up, right? And a mock-up is essentially a design of what the product is going to look like and what it's going to feel like. And so that is what I'm showing you here. Now, this doesn't need to be complicated. Realistically, I tell founders, like, download Figma and watch some YouTube tutorials and build this yourself. There is no point spending money or hiring designers, because we're not trying to design the entire product here. We're just trying to design like one screen. And I think that this is extremely important. I'm not a fan of waiting lists that have no mock-up, because again, it's how do you get someone excited about something if they can't even see it, right? If you have a look at this, yes, I've got some nice branding and stuff. Yes, I've got the feature list, which you can sort of read, but the hero or the star of the show is this image, right? Like, if you look at this, you can sort of imagine yourself using it, and that should get you excited, right? And that sort of was what incentivizes people to put their name down and join the waiting list, right? The next thing is you need the feature list, because that's a component on the page. And as we spoke about that, again, the process of building these blocks helps you solve these 4 things, because the process of building a feature list forces you to sort of articulate your vision, or at least what you think the product is going to be. Then obviously you need an actual landing page, because again, we spoke about you finding a way to find those prospects, and then we now need to figure out a way to get them into a conversation. And the first part of that is a landing page. And the second part of that is an email sequence. So when they enter their name here, we need to automatically fire off an email. I'm going to show you that email very specifically in terms of how we get people to get onto a call with us. And then obviously we need a booking link, so that when they reply to the email, we can of course send them a link, and then they can jump on a call. Okay. So I'm going to show you this in practice for the software that I've been building in public, simplepayments.io. If it's the first time you're watching any of my videos, if you just go to my channel, there's an entire playlist. I've taken you guys through step by step since I had the idea, building it, hiring the developers, hiring the designers, designing it. Like literally, we've documented the entire process. For this video, I'm literally going back to the beginning and sort of showing you what I did. And then I'm going to show you some of the results for it. Okay. So let's first look at the actual landing page that I built. If you go to simplepayments.io, depending on when you're watching this, either the product will be live or this landing page will be there and you guys can play with it. But essentially, if you have a look, I decided on the logo and the branding, the colors. I roughly put a launch date, sort of a simple title that encapsulates like the product. In our case, the actual name of the product sort of does it anyways, but this is just reiteration. A little bit of text, obviously the ability for someone to give us their information or their contact details, the mockup, and then the feature list. Super, super simple, not complicated at all. And in terms of building this, I wanted to show you guys behind the scenes of how I did this. So we used a tool called Framer. Now, Framer, Webflow, you've got a lot of options. You know, when it comes to hosting websites, you can even use like Wix or something else. The actual software tech stack here doesn't matter. As long as it's about speed, right? So I'll tell you why we are using Framer, sorry for this. The reason we're using Framer is because I've been designing the product and everything in Figma. And Framer has a really cool plugin that literally can copy things from Figma straight into Framer and then it goes live as a website. So I didn't design this in Framer, I designed it in Figma and then copy paste and then suddenly I had a website. So it was just super low friction and super quick to do. And also Framer's relatively cheap, right? So again, building this entire landing page literally probably took me about 5 minutes. Now, yes, I did have the prerequisites. I had the copy, I had the mock-up, I had all this stuff already written. So it was just a case of doing the design. But again, like if you guys want to see how it was made in the back end, this is sort of the page. And then this is the mobile optimization that I did for it. All right. So if we just go back to notes. That is the landing page. Then I want to show you what happens when someone gives me their email. So if you go ahead and you join this waiting list, two things happen. First, what happens is we have set up a Slack channel and we get notified when people opt in. So again, I want to show you real life, like this is me building a SaaS real life on the back end. Today is April the 17th. These are the notifications that we've been getting. So yesterday we had 1 sign up. On Monday, we had 3 signups. On Sunday, we had 2. Saturday, we had 2. Friday, we had, what is this, like 4. So literally every single day, we're getting anywhere between, I would average it out, between like 2 to 4, 2 to 5 signups. And that is us spending 0 on marketing, 0 on ads. I'm not doing any promotion. I'm not sending cold emails. I'm doing nothing. Okay, which if you think about it is actually amazing. Now I'm going to make an entire separate video on how that is all working. What are we doing for promotion? My launch strategy. For now, I just want to tell you guys, if I were to start a SaaS ASAP, this is just like the first step. Then we can dive into these points because really, if I look at my notes, I think I can make a lot more videos and provide you guys a lot more value in terms of how to find prospects. That's a whole video in itself. And then also how to get those people to come to this page. For now, let's just talk about the prerequisites. Okay, so we've got landing page. They opt in. We're notifying us in Slack. Also, this is just as a side trick, a very good way to motivate the team. I think he has a good example actually. Jack is a developer on the project and you can see him posting a message like this. So it's just a good way to, keep the team motivated that we are actually building this because people actually want it. Okay. The next thing that is happening is the moment they opt in, what happens is they get added to Loops, which is what we're using for emails. Loops.so. Again, if you're building a SaaS, check them out. If you want, message me because we're a partner with them and we can do some of the implementation stuff. But it's just a really good email tool for SaaS. And basically it's super simple, right? They opt in and then they get this email. So I just want to walk you through what this email says and sort of why I've scripted it to be this way. So again, you can see the background of the email is the Spio color. So just providing that consistent look and feel from a design UX standpoint. That's obviously our logo. And then basically it says, hey, first name. So let's say that, I joined the waiting list would be like, hey, Courtne, thanks for joining the waiting list for simplepayments.io. In case the person doesn't recognize the logo or the color, because, people do things on the internet at lightning speed and usually forget what they're doing. We're just confirming like, this is who we are. Your spot on the waiting list is officially confirmed. And then what I'm doing is I'm basically giving them a hook, right? So I'm confirming their information as to like why I'm messaging them. And then I'm sort of providing a hook. And the hook is, we are currently in private beta, but we're onboarding people in batches every week. So what this is doing from a copywriting standpoint is it's creating a couple implications. First implication is we're in private beta. Now, anyone knows that a private beta is sort of like an exclusive club that anyone who wants to be in the private beta has to be invited. You can't just sign up. You can't just go to simplepayments.io and make an account. You have to be invited. So we're creating this, in a sense, artificial but real private members club. And everyone wants to be in the club. No one wants to be outside looking at the club but not being invited in. And then again, I'm driving the knife a little bit deeper by basically saying, but we're onboarding people in batches every single week. Again, I'm making the implied assumption that we have loads and loads of people joining every single week, which basically means that the product is, again, super cool. It's the difference between a party that is invite only, but there's no one there, versus a party that's also invite only, but there's a massive line and they're only letting in a people slowly. That's sort of what this is implying here. But if you want early access, just reply to this email and say, hey. Okay, so again, I'm driving the sword in them by saying, look, this is a private members club and loads of people want to get in. But if you want to get in, we can make a plan. All you need to do is just reply. And then basically this is my call to action. And again, the call to action is as low friction as possible, because I could have said, click this button, fill out a long form, click this link, go to my calendar, choose a time. Like, that's a lot to ask for. All I'm saying is just reply to this email. Super low friction that anyone can do, very easy. And then I'm just signing it off with my name. Now, what will happen when you do this is basically you're going to get, I would say, solid 70 to 80% of people reply to this email and say, hey. Okay, because again, they don't know what the next step is. They're thinking, if I just reply, maybe he'll just send me a link and then I have the product. Okay, I have created the barrier of entry so low in their head that they're just like, yeah, let me just reply. It's quick to do, and I don't know. If I had said, yeah, you have to get on a call with me and you have to do all these things, like again, like now the barrier is so high, they might not do it. But because it's such low friction, and again, this is a short email to read and very low barrier of entry, I'd literally say 70 to 80% of people actually do reply. Okay, and then when people reply, I reply to their reply basically saying, hey, let's get on a call. And then I can demo the product and of course give you access. And on that call, I basically get all the feedback that I need to start building the product. Because remember, at this point, I don't have a product, right? I basically just have a mock-up, right? Like all I have is just a website. I don't have a product yet. But through these calls, I get the information that I need to, as I said in the beginning of this video, build the things that they want. Okay, so that is behind the scenes of everything that we're doing. What I want to do now is quickly just give you some bonus tips and answer the next question indefinitely that people are going to give me is, okay, cool. I've got all these people, to now agree to get on calls to me. What do I actually say? So 2 guiding points that I want to give you is first, just be scientific. This is not the time to get on a call that you haven't prepared for at all. And you just waste a person's time by basically just chatting about the weather and your favorite sports team or whatever. Like, you need to be scientific. You need to have a preset list of questions that you're going to ask. Of course, don't be a robot, sort of have a human conversation, but have a list of pre-questions done. And the reason why you want to do that is because essentially if you have a list of questions and answers, you can put those answers in a spreadsheet with obviously the questions being the columns, and you can start looking for trends. Because if you have 20 calls, each call is going to be different. Every person's going to say something else. Everyone wants something different. Everyone has a slight variation of the same problem. But what your job is to look for trends and then build solutions for the trends, because you cannot build a product around one person's problem. Otherwise, it's not going to scale. What you can do is get 20 people's problems together and look for commonalities and then solve the commonalities, because then you will be solving everyone's problem and you're also building a scalable product. Okay. And the next thing is, don't ask about your product. What you don't want to do is basically start the call by saying, yeah, this is Simple Payments. This is what we're going to do. This is the features, blah, blah, blah. What do you think? That is not the way to handle this. The way to handle this is to not mention your product at all. Don't talk about features, don't show designs, nothing. Just focus on asking them about their life and their problems. And I can make a whole video around doing this. Maybe I should. Let me know if you want me to, because I can show you some templates and even some actual data that we've collected with customers. But really, I think better than me doing that is me just giving you the recommendation. Go read the Mom Test. This is an incredible book. And basically the entire book is literally how to talk to customers and learn if your business is a good idea when everyone is lying to you. And again, that's like a super rad title to give it, but most people do lie. Like, if I come up with a business idea and I ask friends and family, what do you think? Most of them are going to be like, yeah, that's amazing. Not because the idea is great, just because they want to support me, right? And that's why it's the mom test. Like most moms, no matter what you do, they're going to think it's amazing. It's that typical thing is like you'll have like a child who thinks they're going to be an artist and they draw this like picture and it's the worst picture ever, but their mom thinks it's amazing and is telling them that it's amazing. That's sort of the idea behind this book. So how to get the truth from people if you discard that. So incredible book. If you're a founder, highly recommend it and we'll answer the question properly, what to say to users. And then just as a bonus tip, after the call, you want to follow up over email, okay, in the original thread for the waiting list, and just thank people for taking the time to join the call and also for the time. And the reason why that's super important is what will happen is you will convert these people into power users. So when you do actually have a product, so when Simple Payments does actually go live, what I'll be able to do is go to these power users and say, hey, it's live. Here's the link, and they will sign up. And not only will they sign up, they'll give you great feedback and they will also promote the product because they feel like they have been a part of building it, right? And when people feel like they were part of building it, they have sunk costs. They want it to succeed. Okay, so that's the video. What I want to do now quickly is, again, recap this and then just show you some examples that are aside from my products so you can see that this has resulted in some really successful SaaS companies out there. So in summary, how to launch a SaaS ASAP. Within 15 minutes, get up a landing page, start getting conversations with users, filter that feedback on those calls into tangible things to build, and then literally start building. Once you have something that sort of works, then what you want to do is go to those original users because they will be the early adopters, and then start building from there. And then obviously you launch marketing and stuff. All right. So let me just show you two quick examples. The first one is I actually want to show you Loops itself, right? So this is Loops website, right? And what I want to do here is I want to show you, this is a tool called Wayback Machine. And what this does is it allows you to look at websites right in the beginning. So if I go to 2022, right, because obviously we're in 2024 now, and I go and have a look at this snapshot over here. This was their original website. And you can see literally all it was as a homepage is basically just a title, right? A little bit of text and then the ability to sign up, and then they've got their logo, right? They've got a mock-up, right? And then they've got their version of a feature list. So if you have a look at what Spio is, it's literally the same. They have just got a slightly different design, right? Different logo, different colors. Their mock-up's obviously different. They've chosen to present their features differently than I have, but it's the same structure overall. And then another super successful bootstrap company is Tally. Okay, so Tally now obviously super successful. I believe they're just closing on about $200,000 MRR, but this is their website back in 2020. So again, we're 2024 now. So this is 4 years ago when they were just getting started. And again, like they have a heading, a little bit of a graphic. They chose to use the create a form button instead of a sign up button, but it's going to take you to a waiting list. This is how they chose to present their features. And then they sort of added a few extra things, which I don't think are necessary, but if you can, yeah, you absolutely should make this page as nice as possible. I think they launched their waiting list a lot later in the process because it looks like they already had a working product, or at least a demoable product. But again, you can see the general overall philosophy and structure for doing this is exactly the same. All right, so I hope you guys enjoyed that. Again, a super quick answer to a very common question I get. And what I wanted to do with this video is just make it clear that you can get moving on this quickly. SaaS is not a black box. You can absolutely do it. And with that being said, I will see you guys in the next video.